I first of all thank this organization for giving me an opportunity to speak today. As you all know, I'm the president of Nurses Welfare Association. This organization was formed about 8 years ago. There was no organized sector in the nurses profession earlier, apart from the Trained Nurses Association of India, which is more a government organization. First of all, I would like to bring to your notice that 80% of the nurses are from Kerala, and they have been working as nurses for decades. They are known for their service-minded, their gentle nature, and they are also wanted by globally by all the hospitals in many countries. In India, unfortunately, we see that there is a great disparity now between the nurses working in the government sector and the private sector. Now, in the government sector, fortunately, the nurses in the 6th pay commission gets about a starting salary of 42,000 in the central government hospitals. Whereas when we were approached, that is, I'm talking about 7 years ago, or even a couple of years ago, the nurses in the private sector were being paid a salary as pittance as 1,500 and 2,500 in Kerala, and in Delhi, for that matter, even very well-known private hospitals were giving them for BSc nurses 4,500. This was brought to my notice, and we started working in this direction. We started organizing them. I would be also frank that it was not an organized sector earlier, because the nurses, their target from the 1970s was to go in for nursing, and this was only the metropolitan cities were only a stopgap situation for them earlier to migrate to another country. First mainly to the Gulf, and from the Gulf to any other Western country or USA. Now this has been going on for years. In the 1970s, a few of the nurses migrated to the Gulf, and they lived there. They started working in hospitals there, initially in the government hospitals. They were paid better than they were paid in India. So they would not get leave for a couple of years till the contract is over. They would send back money to their home, and like someone was mentioning earlier, they would have taken educational loans from either banks or from money lending sharks. Most of these nurses were not from very well-to-do background. They were children of farmers, carpenters, laborers. So it is with great difficulty they pledge their property or pledge whatever they can to take these loans on a very high interest rate. And the nursing colleges also have been like sharks. They have been charging them for a general nursing, it is about 4 to 5 lakhs. and for BSc nursing course, easily it is about 7 lakhs, 7 to 8 lakhs. So you see, after they come, they pass out with wonderful dreams, and then they come to places like Delhi, the capital of India, and then they are in for a shock when they go in to work with private hospitals. Fortunately, since this movement started, we have been able to increase their salaries to a certain amount. But I have been trying to approach the government to request them to form a wage code to monitor the salaries of the or the conditions of working of the nurses. The working hours are also very long. What I have been trying to tell everyone is that it's not only the nurses, they are serving human beings who are not well. We have to keep in mind that they are looking after patients. So if you value the life of a human being, or you want to save a life of a human being, the nurse has to be comfortable to give her full care and support. Her living condition should be good. So now I am talking about living conditions of nurses in India and the long working hours. We still know now, maybe after so long, they have, the Delhi government, the Kerala government has finally come out with some reforms. They have formed a committee. They have also come out with a basic salary system, and also there is a national board which says that they can work only so many hours, 6 hours. It's still on paper, it's not happening actually. And we were talking about slavery. They were earlier, their certificates were being withheld so that they are not allowed to leave the hospital. Even after the contract period is over, their certificates were not being released. Their nursing certificate, their 12th standard certificate, their 10th standard certificates. Our association had approached, had filed a PIL with the Supreme Court, and we had got a very favorable judgment from the Chief Justice of India at that time. This was last year. So they said that no certificates should be withheld as bond. Now, I am just giving you a background of what is happening here. When they go to the Gulf country, when they get the opportunity to go, I heard Chitra speaking, I heard Swamiji speaking. Yes, some of them, of course, they go through the right channel. Even then, they are exploited by the recruitment agencies. A nurse who is going to Gulf is made to pay almost 10 lakhs. I wish that the government, I would suggest that the government should step in and probably indirectly, like Chitra said, some overseas development, though there is an overseas development, this thing for skilled labor, it should be more effective, and it should be an all India overseas development authority who should look into this matter and monitor all the recruitment agencies. We have sponsors abroad. The sponsors are not, the real sponsors are not at fault, but the sponsorship moves from hand to hand down. And it's our own Indian people who normally plays a role in misleading the uh, the people, migrants who are going abroad. So this, I believe, I just heard from the other gentleman that there is going to be, government has already stepped in. I'm glad that government is stepping in, but I think there should be more stringent rules on these matters. Now, I've spoken to you about recruitment agencies for nurses. But what is happening to the unskilled labor? My subject today is women, plight of Indian women workers in the Gulf. The unskilled labor, even recently, there was a news item in the Kerala newspaper that these unskilled laborers, they are taken on visitors visa these days, because that doesn't need a sponsor. So when you are taken on a visitor's visa, that is for 3 months, you don't need immigration clearance from India. Then when you go there, you are violating their law by not having a sponsor. Then you are working there for 3 months, and after 3 months, you are on the roads. You land up in jail because you have no other, you are violating laws on both sides. And like someone mentioned earlier, that they don't even know about the Indian embassy. They don't know, so they land up in jail. They are not paid properly. They are told that they are going to be given some other job, but they will be taken as domestic help or whatever. And they are not treated well by their employers. They really go through a lot of exploitation and suffering when they think that they are going to gain something by going there. So we should be able, especially organizations like this, I would suggest, should find out how many of these people are in the jails in the Gulf countries. We really don't know. I mean, we only know, it's only a tip of an iceberg. We really don't know the numbers. There is no data telling us how many people are still languishing in jails without any help. They don't get help from the local people there. They don't get help from Government of India because they don't know how to approach Government of India. One good thing is women are safe in those countries, not like in India where we have current political issues. We read about though in India political parties are, some of the 4 of the political parties are headed by women. We find, unfortunately, irony of the whole situation that there's so many exploitation, so many discriminatory remarks. Women are discriminated in those parties itself. So that way women are safe. I mean, because the punishment and the laws there are very stringent. But in Saudi, it's a totally different matter. And in Saudi, we have found that nurses going there have also faced problems of not being allowed to move around freely, not allowed to talk to their male counterparts, and of course they have to move around in a parda where we cannot say anything about it. But there are cases where the hospital has suddenly shut down and they find that they don't have a job and they can't come back. There is a case like that which came up this year. Anyway, on the whole, nurses leaving India and going to the Gulf, they have always looked at it as a window to the rest of the world. they find that they can support the next generation for better education. They are in the matrimonial, they are highly priced because they are a gateway to Gulf. There is always when you see advertisements in the papers that nurse working in the Gulf is preferred, because once a man gets married, he goes on a visa and then he finds a job there, and then it's also it's an opening for all the other relatives. I would like to conclude by saying that government should first of all have some awareness program for the people who are going to work to the Gulf. Whoever is going on a job visa, there should be some counseling on this side. And they should be also made aware of the Indian Embassy. And then there should be some kind of, the Indian Embassy should monitor people who have got job visas, monitor their conditions once in 6 months at least. And monitor their wages and everything else. And people whose visa is over, they should be also helped to, they have to come back to their home place. And their funds that they are remitting should be channelized so that it can be used usefully by them when they come back. And they should be also utilized properly when they come back. Thank you very much for giving me this.